When I bought a house on the island of Hvar in 2002, it was a completely random decision. 2 days before I bought the house, I'd never even heard of the island. It was only after I moved in that I started to discover just what a treasure I had found. Here are 10 things that really blew my mind. It has the oldest public theatre in all of Europe, built in 1612, and it's in the main square in Hvar town. Tourism is a huge thing in Europe, but the first organised tourism was in Hvar, with the foundation of the Hvar Health Society on May the 15th, 1868. The island used to be known as the Austrian Madeira for its temperate climate, and the Austro-Hungarian aristocracy would come down on the train and they would come down to convalesce. And not many local people even know this, but I'm pretty sure that the oldest olive tree in the whole of Croatia is in Zastržišće in eastern Hvar. And it's been dated at 2,500 years old. And it's about the time when the ancient Greeks came. Wisdom is that the oldest olive tree is in Castella at 1,600, but actually it's on Hvar. The other really amazing thing is that Hvar has more UNESCO heritage than any island in the world. 6. It has a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Starigard Plain, which was established by the ancient Greeks 2,400 years ago, and where cultivation of grapes and olives continues much in the same tradition as was way back then. And then it has 5 intangible heritages, one of which is the Zakrižan following the cross Holy Week procession between 6 villages. It has the Benedictine lace. It has the Mediterranean diet, which along with brach was inscribed in 2013. It has the clapper singing of southern Dalmatia. And it also has the very, very skilled art of dry stone walling, so 6 in total. The biggest festival on Hvar is really, really bizarre. It is the Puchijada. Puch is a Croatian word for dormouse. The village of Dol in the center of the island is one of only 3 places in the whole of Croatia that actually eat dormouse. They hunt them and they put them on the grill. But every year in August they have the Puchijada, which is a dormouse festival, and you can actually go and try dormice on the grill. I recommend it. It's a bit weird and you need to eat a few of them, but the meat is really, really tasty. Hvar is also an incredible wine island. It has a number of indigenous grape varieties, including Bogdanusha, which translates as a gift from God, and probably has about 6 indigenous grape varieties that only grow on the island. And it's the only place in Croatia where a master of wine, Joa Hearn from London, actually produces wine. She has a wonderful motto: hands from London, grapes from Hvar. Croatia is a very, very safe country. It's one of its biggest attributes in this scary modern times. And part of the reason perhaps is because the grandfather of fingerprinting, Ivan Vučić, was born on Hvar. And he's known as the godfather of dactyloscopy, which is a tough word to say, but I did quite well. And he emigrated from Hvar to Argentina in the 19th century and was working as a policeman. And he was the first person to use fingerprints from blood, and that was used in a case to solve a murder. Because of that, the whole concept of fingerprinting took off thanks to a man from Hvar. And a few years ago, they had a conference of dactyloscopists. They were saying that Hvar was definitely the safest island in the world for that conference. The olive oil on Hvar is sensational, both in terms of quality and in terms of price. 2 amazing facts about the olive oil of Hvar. Tennis champion Novak Djokovic gets his olive oil from a premium supplier on Hvar. And the second is the most expensive olive oil in the world ever comes from the village of Vrsnik, and it sells for £750 for a 0.2 litre. 440 bottles were ever made in a beautiful wooden case with gold flecks inside, and they were sold in Harrods of London, and they all sold out immediately. So that works out as £3,750 a litre. Where else in the world can you have a lavender festival? Lavender is just such a beautiful aromatic thing. The fields of Hvar in June and early July are just the smell, the wonderful, and it's just a fantastic place to be. And the history or the legend of the lavender is that there was a local boy in the village of Velograblie, which is a few kilometers from Hvar town, and he was in love with a girl from a higher social status. And he went to the priest and said that he loved this girl and what could he do? And the priest said, plant lavender. He thought the priest was joking, but the priest said, plant lavender, and so he did. And this lavender became so valuable with the lavender oil, he was exporting it to Paris, and he actually built the biggest house in the village, and then he got to get the girl. And at one point, the village of Velograblie was the capital of lavender production for the whole of Dalmatia. And every year they have this incredible festival celebrating lavender, and I highly recommend it. The island has a full-time population of 11,000 people. It has the only island football league in Croatia and possibly even in Europe, where there are 10 teams from different villages who play each other home and away, and it's called the Forska Liga. And the football tradition on the island of Hvar dates back to 1913, which is only 2 years after the formation of Hajduk Split, which is the oldest football club in Croatia, and that was formed in Prague. So the fact that this tradition continues is just one more incredible example of the diverse culture and activity on this beautiful island that I quite discovered by chance. One of the most thrilling things to do on the island of Hvar is to drive through the Pitva Zavala tunnel, which connects the north and south of the island. It was drilled through the rock by the Yugoslav army in 1963 to provide water for the south side, and it was never rendered, so it really is one of the great undiscovered film sets of Europe. It's 1.4 kilometers long and only 2.3 meters wide, so it's only wide enough for one car to go at any one time. And there are two passing places in the middle, so locals know exactly if they can make it or not in time. During the season you have a traffic light, but in the winter there isn't, so it can get quite interesting for tourists that come out of season and find themselves in the middle of a tunnel with a car coming the other way. One of the most interesting things to find there is there's actually a really deep wine cellar belonging to Zlatan Otok, the famous winemaker from Sveta Nedelja. When the tunnel was made in 1963, the water board had two massive storage places dug out for water, only one of which was actually used, and so then in the 1990s Zlatan came and took the other one, and he's been storing wine there at perfectly controlled temperatures ever since, and rather nice it is too.